How's it going, everybody? It is Dennis, and we're back with another video. And this week, we're going to have a little bit of a short, or maybe not a short video. We're going to be talking about QDTE. I promised last video that we're going to make a sheet separately just for QDTE or any weekly dividend-paying stock or ETF that we have. And therefore, I have made it for this week. And we're going to go over it for this week just to go over everything we've made so far from QDTE, because that's the only ETF I've owned. And the other reason for making this video and why it's going to be a little bit short maybe is because I have an event coming up this weekend of making this video, or releasing of this video is going to be on Friday. So the next day I do have an event, so I'm quite busy getting ready for that event. But besides that, what is QDTE? If you don't know what QDTE is, QDTE trades on the NASDAQ 100. They have synthetic positions or options, the same as YieldMax, but they do trade 0 DTE options. QQQ and SPY allow 0-day options, and that is what they do. They trade 0-day options. They don't hold overnights on the short calls, and therefore they create income from that. They pay a decent amount. I'm pretty sure they had 40% dividend distribution so far. Yep, 40.66. It does vary, it goes up and down, but it's around the 25 to 40% range. And they do pay a quite good dividend. But the reason they're so good is because they pay weekly dividends. And that's why we created this separate sheet, just so we could track weekly based dividends and then add it up to the monthly. Instead of before, where we had with YieldMax dividend, where we have it over here on the right side, and it was all monthly based. It was a little bit hard to track and not that accurate as well. So I went ahead and made a separate sheet for the weekly based ETFs or dividends that are paid out. We also added this part here in YieldMax, but we'll go over that on the YieldMax video for next month. So that'll be for later. But focusing on Roundhill and on QDTE, what have we received? When did we start investing, and how are we doing so far? So 2024, January, February, March, and April, we were not invested into QDTE. Of course, this is a brand new investment for me. I started investing on the 4th week of May. And so, of course, looking at May, how this sheet works is when we look at the month of May, this is going to be the total shares we had at the end of the month, the total dividends we received for the whole month, the total dividend payout we received for the whole month, and of course the grand total at the end. And then for June it's the same, for July it's the same, and then the weeks are based on the weeks of every month. Usually every month has 4 weeks. Of course, some of them vary, but we're just going to go by 4s. So week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. And I was first invested into QDTE on week 4 of May, where we had 2 shares, just measly 2 shares. I was just testing out the waters. We received 21 cents per share, and then we received 42 cents per share for QDTE, for a total of 42 cents for the month of May. Now, when we started growing more into it is in June. So in June, the first week we had 2 shares. We received 0.1426 per share, and we got 29 cents. In week 2, we had 4 shares, and we received 23.44 per share and had 94 cents. As you can see, it's still in the cent range, not that high of dividend payouts, but of course we started loading up on the shares. After that, after I've tested the process and see that it works, I began to add more and more and more. So week 3, 9 shares, or 9.0269, and we received 29.75 per share of a total of $2.69. Week 4 of May, or week 4 of June, we had 9.0861 shares, and we had 35.48 payout, which paid us $3.22. which gave us a total for June of $7.13, and a total dividend payout of $1.293, or 1.0293 was the total dividend per share payout, and our ending holding for the month of June was 9.0861 shares. Now, for July, of course, the shares are not counted yet because it's not the end of July just yet, but July is when we started loading up on more shares. So week 1 of July, we had 15.157 shares, and we received 0.1972 per share, giving us a total of $2.99. Then for week 2, we added a bunch of shares. I'm pretty sure I sold out of a position that I no longer wanted to own. I'm pretty sure it was TSLL. I sold out of TSLL. You guys will see in the monthly video, I'm no longer trading TSLL, but I did sell out of TSLL. Tesla went up, and therefore I sold out, and I added it to QDTE, and now we have 59.22 or 59.222 shares, which gives it, and we got a payout of this dividend per share of 0.3464 for the 2nd week of July. And we can see it over here on their payout right here, 0.346492 per share for declaration date of 7/10 and the payout date of 7/12. So Friday we will be getting the payout for this dividend. And that gives us a total of $20.51 shares, giving us a total so far for July of $23.50 and a total of dividend distribution of 0.5436. Now, it's still small, it's still growing, but overall it's pretty good and has weekly compounding effects, which is also very great. Now let's look, of course, we're going to look at the weekly growth and the monthly growth is what we've added to Yield Max. If you could see right here, for Yield Max, we added the section of the monthly growth, but since this is weekly dividends, we added weekly growth and monthly growth. So looking at weekly growth, we can see that we are down 32.77% compared to comparing week 1 to week 4 of May. But after that, it's all green and dandy until, of course, July. So we had 228% growth from week 2 to week 1. We had 186% growth from week 3 to week 2. And then we had 20.04% growth from week 4 to week 3. And then moving on to July, we had negative 7.28% growth from week 1 to week 4. And then when we added up the shares, when we added those extra 40 shares, we're now at 586.34% growth from week 2 to week 1. When looking at a monthly scale, we grew 1,581.29% from June to May, and then we grew 229.55% from July to June. Of course, July is not over yet, and that's probably going to increase a lot, especially if I add more shares. But overall, the growth is there. And of course, it's not fully compounding effects. I'm adding my own shares, so it's kind of skewed. But with compounding effects, it's probably way less. But overall, it's still better than Yield Max. Yield Max pays monthly, and therefore your compounding effects are monthly. Roundhill pays, or QDTE pays weekly, so then your compounding effects are weekly. These $20.51 I'm going to get on Friday will be paid out on Friday, but Monday they'll be reinvested of next week, and that will go into next week dividends. So $20.51 shares will buy me roughly half a share. Of course, it's not a lot. It's not a lot just yet, but it's still a decent amount. Those half a share will then earn me another payout, certain amount of payout. If you can see over here, say we get another 3.3464. Half a share of that is roughly like what? That's 12 cents, roughly 17 cents, right? That's an extra 17 cents I didn't have before. Of course, the more shares you have, the better that compounding effect is, and the faster the compounding effect is. But overall, in general, when we look at the percentage-wise, it is still the same compounding effects, and it's quicker than Yield Max because it's a weekly base. Now, is that my goal for QDTE? Am I just going to go for compounding and I'm going to keep reinvesting? No. So my rule of thumb for Yield Max and for QDTE and for any ETF is to have 10% of it in my portfolio, that 10%, and keep it at that 10% so I could continue to grow, right? I continue to grow and reinvest my dividends. But once I reach that 10%, once I am in the plus, so let's give you an example. In TSLY, I'm at 13% for TSLY currently with portfolio diversity. But I continue to reinvest 50% of my dividends from TSLY back into TSLY. Why? Well, because it is underneath my average cost. Now, so that is some of my rules. Sorry if I'm around the place, but I'm trying to put this together. So how it works is, if I'm under my average cost, I will reinvest. If I am above my average cost and I'm at 10% portfolio diversity, I will not reinvest. If I am above the average cost and then I am under my portfolio diversity, I will reinvest. So there's 3 rules. Of course, it depends on the ETF. Sometimes I might not follow the rule. Sometimes I might follow the rule. But in general, if it's under 10% portfolio diversity, I will reinvest. If it's under my average cost, I will reinvest. If it's above my average cost and it's under portfolio diversity, I will reinvest. And if it is above average cost and above 10% portfolio diversity, I will not reinvest. So, with all that, what does that have to do with QDTE? Well, with QDTE, once I get to 10% portfolio diversity, and my average cost is higher, or my average cost is lower than what the price of the shares are, so I'm in the positives on my average cost, I will begin to siphon the weekly dividends into my option strategy. I will then take the weekly dividends, and hopefully the weekly dividends get to a point where they're like $100 a week or maybe even more. I will take those weekly dividends and I will throw them into options. This will give me an ability to have protection in case I lose on options trade. Right now I am running, of course, synthetics as well, and I'm running a lot of option level 3 trades, so you know, cash secured puts and all this stuff, or actually not cash secured puts. I'm running poor man covered call, and I'm running iron condors and iron butterflies and all that sorts. So if I lose a trade, I need to have protection, and QDTE will allow me to have that protection on a weekly basis. Not only that, but it allows me to have weekly income to then fund other ETFs. So say QDTE gets to 10% by portfolio diversity before YMAX does, or before Apple does, or GUI. Of course, right now, Apple, GUI, and YMAX are roughly all under 7% portfolio diversity so far. QDTE, if I'm able to reach the 10% before the other ones, I'll then take that money and put into Apple, I'll put into GUI, I'll put into YMAX. I could siphon that weekly income into any position, pretty much creating a self-funding portfolio. So say, not even that, say we're not under 10% portfolio, but let's see I see a chance where YMAX is down for the month, and right at the moment, I don't have cash to put in myself. That cash is in options, and I don't have cash to put into YMAX. I would take my QDTE dividend that I get paid at the end of the week and put it into YMAX, lowering my average cost. I will take the next week's dividend, and maybe AMZ is down under my average cost. I will put money in there and lower my average cost. Of course, this only works if QDTE stays the same in share value, and only works if QDTE is at 10% diversity or higher. Of course, if it drops below any of those two, I will reinvest and continue to grow that compounding effect. But besides that, I'm going to make QDTE work. I'm going to make QDTE work for my portfolio. I'm going to put it into YMAX, into AMZ, into my option strategy. Say I lose an iron condor or an iron butterfly, I will go ahead and put my weekly into that. Say I lose $100, $200, $300 on the iron condor, I take those $200 or $100, $200 I make on a weekly basis and throw it into that option strategy to continue to make more money. It's a safety. It's another way of funding my portfolio. Overall, it's just a great thing to have, a great tool to have, because Yield Max you have to wait every month. With QDTE, you get it every week. So compounding effects are there, the safety is there, and the supply of more cash into the portfolio is there as well. So that is why I'm investing into QDTE. This is my new sheet to track QDTE dividends. So we're going to be doing maybe we'll do monthly dividend overviews for QDTE. I'm not quite sure. I think that might be a little bit interesting. So when July ends on week 4, then we'll go over how much we earned for July. I guess that's a little bit interesting, or maybe we'll add it up with Yield Max. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But overall, this is my new Roundhill or weekly tracker for dividends that are paid out on a weekly basis. And of course, with Yield Max, we do have our update with the new monthly growth chart on the side, so we can track how much we grow on a monthly basis. And of course, right now it's a negative 6.32 because we have not received our YMAX payment yet. But if it is at 73 cents, then we'll be 100% over the monthly growth from previous month, and we'll probably be at like +5, +7% growth for monthly growth. But yeah, that is QDTE. I will see you guys on Saturday. I'm not going to be posting a video on Saturday, so this is getting posted on Friday. So tomorrow, I'm not going to be posting a video tomorrow, but I will be posting a community post, just a little update of what I'm doing and where I'm at. So if you guys are interested in that, stay posted on Saturday. Check out YouTube's, check out the community page, and see the posts I'll be doing, just to show you guys what I do outside of these YouTube videos. But in general, just a quick video, just a quick overview of QDTE. I know it's not that informative maybe, but just wanted to get something out there for this week for you guys to watch, for you guys to see before I leave to my little event for the weekend. But thank you so much anyways for watching. I will see you guys in the next video next week, where I'll have a bunch more time to get a little bit more informative and maybe create a good video. Maybe we'll do a presentation once again. Haven't done one of those in a while. But anyways, see you guys next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.